What's going on, y'all? Gamers Going here today with your Premier League Match Week 7 predictions. It is our first double game week for some teams. Burnley and Luton both have a double game week here. So if you are in Fantasy Premier League, make sure you get one of those two teams players in your game because it could have some good upside right there. But I will be playing Carlton Morris, I believe, over Hojland. I think that's how you pronounce him, or Hoyland, or however you pronounce the guy's name. That's looked pretty good, in my opinion, for Man United. He scored a Champions League goal, but I'm not starting him this week. I just released the striker from who was it, Brentford. Wissa. Is he at Brentford? Yeah, he is. But I just released him for Carlton Morris to see what he can do. But this isn't about Fantasy Premier League. This is about this weekend, Saturday. We have a bunch of games. Real early game for me, Aston Villa and Brighton going at it. Two teams that go in this kind of around the same spot. Brighton sitting third, Villa sitting sixth right now. Big game for both sides. This game's going to be played in Birmingham at Villa Park. So I think with it being played at Villa, you got to give the edge to Villa. I think it's going to be a good game. I'm going to go 2-1 Villa. Bournemouth and Arsenal. Arsenal, they look great in the Champions League return, and then they did not look so great in the North London Derby. Unfortunately, I can't sit here and tell you that I was impressed with them. Obviously, in future weeks, we're going to have a video of my reactions to Arsenal as well, especially with Champions League and all that stuff. But once again, as you can see, moved in. If you haven't watched the NFL video, I kind of explained that. Moved in. So now it's full throttle forward. We'll be able to film and react, do whatever, almost as soon as they happen. Should at least try to. But Bournemouth Arsenal, this is a game Arsenal's gotta get it done. They gotta go in there. They gotta dominate. Can't let Bournemouth stick around. Could be a tricky game. At Bournemouth, but you can't let them stick around. Put them away early. 2-0. Probably a David. I don't know because we do play Brighton here tomorrow. So maybe it's going to be a little bit trickier, but I think this will probably be a David Raya game, but we'll see. But 2-0. Let's see at Arsenal. Then we get Everton going up against the first game of the week for Luton. They play again on Tuesday, I believe. But Luton versus Everton. Luton, surprisingly, they were able to get on the board last week against Wolves. Did not think they would, but they did. Everton, on the other hand, they picked up their first win of the season. They picked up a win last week against Brentford, who, I'm going to be honest, I would be disappointed if I was a Brentford fan because I did not see that coming. Everton, I don't know how much is left in them. Still though, I'm not very high on Everton. You gotta think Everton wins this game. I like their new striker, Beto. I do think that ultimately there's just too much firepower on a lot of Premier League teams that should not be beaten by Luton, but we've seen Luton beat Brentford, who has a better team than Everton, in my opinion. But I am going to go with Everton to win. Probably something close to like a 2-1, maybe even a 3-1 again for Everton. Man United versus Palace. This is actually interesting because they just played. They're playing right now 2-0 to Man United. I think it's probably going to be similar for Crystal Palace this weekend. Man United's got to come back, and they got to start putting points on the board when it comes to the Premier League. So I'm going to go 2-0 Man United. Newcastle, Burnley. Burnley, they haven't been great. Newcastle, big game off Sheffield recently. I think Newcastle's starting to figure it out. I think Newcastle should dominate in a big fashion like they did against Sheffield. I think Newcastle wins 4-0 against Burnley. I think they're ready to make examples out of these smaller teams that are just gotten back into the Prem, because I think Newcastle is not very happy with how their season started. You look at Newcastle, currently they are sitting at 8th, 3 wins, 3 losses, no draws. You'd like to maybe get a few more points out of at least a draw or two. Obviously, we'd like to see all wins, but if you can't get the win, you at least want the points from the draw, and Newcastle hasn't had that yet, so I'd be a little bit frustrated there if I was a Newcastle fan. And they're probably going to be on the field or on the pitch yet again, and I think Burnley could just be in an unfortunate time playing Newcastle, because I could see Newcastle doing the same thing they did last week to Sheffield. West Ham versus Sheffield. I don't think Sheffield's going to lose by 8 goals again. I don't. But I do think West Ham will win something like a 3-0 victory over Sheffield. Sheffield might be the 20th team in the Prem this year. They haven't looked good. Obviously, well, none of the 3 teams that have came up have looked very good yet. Maybe a couple of points here can scrape by, maybe just be a couple points shy of that relegation spot. But right now, I think it's not a good draw for these teams. They just don't seem ready. West Ham should win. Wolves, Man City. Man City's going to dominate. I don't care if it's played at the Wolves Stadium. I don't care if it's played at Man City Stadium. Man City should dominate. I'm going to say 3-1. I do think they will get at least a goal there from Wolves, but we'll see. We will see. And then we got Tottenham going up against Liverpool. And it should be a pretty good game. Again, Tottenham, 2 big games in a row. I do think Tottenham could easily get a draw out of this game at home. Liverpool, obviously, a couple points ahead of them. And I'm actually going to go with the draw. I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw, just like they did against the Arsenal last week. Then we get Sunday. We got Nottingham Forest against Brentford. That's the only Sunday game. Brentford, what happened last week? That was not good. That was not good football. But I think Nottingham Forest can get it done. A weak Brentford team at the moment. They haven't looked good. They're not in good form. Nottingham Forest at home. Give me Nottingham Forest 2-1. Give me Nottingham Forest. And then Monday we got Fulham, Chelsea. Both teams kind of sitting mid-table, I believe. Yeah, Fulham sitting 11th, Chelsea sitting 14th. Fulham got 2 wins, Chelsea only 1. I don't expect Chelsea to win this game, but I do think they could draw against Fulham. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. And then the last game of the week is a Luton-Burnley. A chance for both these teams to get some more points, help each other out. One of these teams goes away with 3, one of these teams go away with nothing, or both teams can go away with 1. It doesn't really matter, though, because I don't know which one of these teams is the better team. I'm going to go with Burnley, but I'm going to say Burnley wins 1-0. I'm going to go 1-0 Burnley. But thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.